The video for July the 12th, 2017 is entitled, "We Await a Verifiable Reversal." In case you are unaware, none of the hoped-for changes we visionaries have wanted for a good while have yet manifested in our reality. Many have succumbed to living in some imaginary 4 or 5D world that does not yet exist on a physical earthly plane. I was part of that myself until I became disillusioned when my non-mortgaged home was stolen. While I still have glimmers of hope, they are punctuated by the realities still so prevalent. The reestablishment of the U.S. Republic under Tim Turner collapsed. SwissIndo proved to be a probable scam. The ambassador and white dragon seem to have disappeared. And the currency revaluation, RV, promising abundance for us visionaries, keeps moving into a future, the future, a little bit at a time. When will now finally arrive in the present? I'm tired of the hopium addiction, and I know I'm not the only one. Yes, I struggle in and out trying to maintain as much of a positive mental attitude as I can. And yes, I was part of the spiritual world that believed that the reality was manifesting somehow in some higher dimension, and it just hadn't made it to Earth yet. That 3D reality takes a little longer because of the physicality of it and everything. So I was very much a part of that, at least to some degree, and of course many of my friends still are. And I've lost friends because I still focus on what's going on this in this world, because this is the world where I live. It's also the world where you live. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, whatever, this is the world that we inhabit. It's a 3D world. Are there 4 and 5D realities? Maybe. Maybe. I reiterated again some of the things that I've been personally involved in. As I've said before, I was the Secretary of State of the Florida Republic in the Restore the American Republic movement, and Tim Turner was the president of that movement. I got to meet him at least once, and possibly, I think I possibly have met him on 2 different occasions, actually. And I couldn't believe it when they arrested him and charged. I don't even remember what the charges they actually made, probably something to do with treason, but I'm not sure exactly what it was. And I know he ended up going to jail. So I don't know all the details, and I may not ever know them, and they are unimportant. But the important thing is we have to realize that the U.S. government is still a privately owned for-profit corporation, and all of the subsidiaries of the federal government, which are the state governments, the county governments, the city governments, etc., all of these have also been turned into for-profit corporations, and the primary profit holders are not even in the United States. They are in Europe. And this is a crime, because they've also done it to all the countries of the world, with the exception of the few holdouts in the Muslim nations, which resist being taken over by the Rothschild Corporation Syndicate. Anyway, I was also involved in SwissIndo, and I was one of the 20 delegates from Australia, and the primary people that I worked with, that I was part of, that brought me into the Australian chapter of SwissIndo, if you will, they have dropped out, and they're no longer associated with it, and they believe it was a scam, and there are still people pushing that scam, Syndicate Courier to be one of them. And Anna von Reitz, of course, says that that the way that was set up would have been just an extending of the slavery that we're under in the corporate takeover of the United States. And she has issued paperwork to, now Anna Van Rights, I'm talking about, she has issued paperwork filing with World Court and notifying the Pope and the City of London and the DC bureaucracy of their crimes. And there are things in courts that are filed against them in World Court, and there's things to reestablish the sovereignty of human beings. What a concept. Uncorporatize us or decorporatize us, however you want to say it, to make us, to restore to us our humanity and not allow us to be subject to the slavery of the corporate system. And I mentioned the ambassador in the White Dragon Society. I, of course, made videos for over a year with the ambassador. And then all of a sudden, he turned on me, and he was still making videos, but he was no longer in any way a friend of mine. And now he's even stopped making videos, as far as I know, with I forget the lady's name, I forget the program that it's called, but I've watched many of their videos, and he's not on the current videos at all. There's a lady from New York that hosts those. Very nice lady. I've not met her personally, but they seem like nice people that are on there. But again, the White Dragon, I haven't even heard anything about the man who was the ambassador's friend from Hong Kong, from the White Dragon Society. I haven't heard anything from him in a long time. And this currency revaluation that many of my friends have pinned their hopes on, of substantive change for the world that would liberate humanity. They, of course, when I got involved last year, it was the beginning of June, just returning from my trip to Australia. When I was notified of this, it took 3 attempts before I finally got the note in the mail. But I finally did get it, and it was supposed to happen by July the 4th last year, and of course it didn't happen. And it was supposed to happen by July the 4th this year, and of course it didn't happen. And it's always any day now. But when is now going to happen? Well, it's still at some point in the future. It hasn't arrived, as I said in the blurb, in the present tense. It hasn't arrived in our current reality. And I don't care what the 4D and 5D hopes may be, they are still illusionary. They are not real. They are imaginary. And I've been very good in my life at imagining things and hoping for things and visualizing things that I thought had potential of manifestation. But again, they didn't manifest. And so as I closed my blurb, I said, I'm tired of the hopium addiction. Now, what is a hopium addiction? It's an addiction to hope. I hope for a better tomorrow because today isn't what I thought it was going to be. And yesterday wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And things that I thought were going to happen in the past didn't happen. And they haven't happened yet. And I know I'm not the only one that has been disillusioned and disappointed by all of the failed promises. Many have. And then when me and others criticize the hopium pushers, we are criticized as being negative and not spiritual and other accusations against us. But me at least, I look for what is real, what actually is tangible and manifests in 3D. The 4D and the 5D world exist as an ethereal reality, but it's not an actual reality. It's not a manifestation. And it needs to be manifest in order for us to take advantage of it and to celebrate our freedom from the corruption and the lies that we've been encapsulated in and imprisoned by for such a long time. Anyway, thank you folks for listening, and namaste.